Hey everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. In this video we are talking about the books that came out of Marvel Comics on the week of July 2nd, 2014, the first week of July. Really quick book to mention is Daredevil Road Warriors, which is 0.1. This is the story of how Daredevil went from the previous volume to this volume, from New York to California. If you're interested, you would have already read this digitally. If you are like me and you don't read the digital comics, then you waited for the physical copy. This is more of an honorable mention. This book, the story in this book is already really old. I'm still reading it, and to get this review out on time, I unfortunately didn't have a chance to finish it yet. It has a $5 price tag, no free digital download code, obviously, because it's a digital first book. Anyway, however, and I want to make triple sure I'm right about that, if, like I said, you're like me and you like your copies physical and not, what do you call it, digital, this is the book for you. There are no advertisements in this book. It is all comic book from page 1 all the way through. There's no advertisements whatsoever until the very end. So, this entire book, page for page, is all Daredevil. I don't know why I bought this. 100th anniversary for Fantastic Four. They introduce us to a brand new Fantastic Four, and then they proceed to just go right back to the old Fantastic Four. Reed Richards and Johnny Storm and Doctor Doom are trapped in a different dimension. The Thing is in a coma or something. He breaks free. The whole story became something I just didn't even care about by the time we got to the end of the book. But in the end, the Fantastic Four, Reed, Johnny, and Doctor Doom break out of, I believe they were in the negative, I forgot what zone they were in, but they broke out of there. And then they go face to face with Galactus. And it says to be continued in the 100th anniversary, the Marvel 100th anniversary, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Wow.
Suffice it to say, I don't know if I'm going to be getting the Guardians of the Galaxy 100th. I am getting Spider-Man, and I'm interested in seeing the X-Men one. We'll see if through those two, I'm even willing to touch any of the other books. Another book that's not worth your money is Guardians of the Galaxy Most Wanted. Why?
Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you why it's not worth it. Well, that's not.
Oh, it's...
You can fix that. The story, the new story with Groot and Raccoon is this half. This half is a bunch of Thor comic reprints.
Huh?
Yeah, Thor. The Mighty Thor 314 with Drax the Destroyer.
Why is that in the Guardians of the Galaxy?
I don't know. And then Tales of Asgard, Judgment and Lament. I don't know why that even has anything. I think this is all part of the same Thor book.
Why is Thor even part of Guardians of the Galaxy? Is it because of the Avengers movie or something?
I don't know, but the story with Rocket Raccoon and Groot was mediocre. Rocket Raccoon is wanted, and I say this with rolling my eyes because you'll see when we get to the Rocket Raccoon issue number 1. And Groot wants to bring him in at first. He has a bunch of people chasing after him that want to bring him in. Then finally he meets the person that made him wanted. And it turns out it was for a wrong reason, and he changes it to the wanted. He cancels out the wanted, and that's how the story ends. And then we go into Thor reprints, which I didn't bother reading because I was never a fan of the older books of Thor.
Not only that, why is it even in this book?
I don't know. A page filler, honestly. So for $3.99, might be a skip for you guys. New Warriors issue 7 with the absent Nova still. This issue continues where the last issue left off. Mark is taken by a bunch of Inhumans, so all of a sudden now New Guardians is connecting to the Inhuman comic.
Right.
So Mark is taken, and Sunspot, I believe her name is Sunspot, I want to make sure now. Sun Girl gets taken with him. Back at the mountain, we still have Scarlet Spider and Hummingbird looking for the demon and the evil magic in the mountain.
Right.
However, Justice returns and tells them, you know, Mark and Sun Girl were taken. We have to find them. He enlists this girl called Silhouette to help them track them down. We find out that Mark was taken by these people who are led by Lash, and he doesn't like humans, and Sun Girl isn't an inhuman, she's a human. So they're face to face with Lash now. Mark breaks free, and him and Sun Girl try to escape, except they fail. And then you got the Guardians who are trying to find them, and they fail as well, finding their friends. I don't know. It was an okay issue. Not good. Not horrible. But again, if it continues down this downward spiral, probably end up dropping New Warriors because there's a ton of new books coming out, and I'm going to want to check all those books out.
Alright. Magneto issue number 6 of the continuation adventures of saving people who want to kill their own kind of mutants. So it starts off where the agents go to John Greycrow, who's known as a scalp hunter, who talks about how Magneto cut off all his arms and legs because they're all gone and stuff like that. Then goes into a backstory where you know, Magneto did like so much construction to Scrambler, you know, because of the stuff that he did back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just talks about this whole thing. By the way, here's some artwork, which is still a little bit sketchy in a good way. And there's just, you know, all about the mutants and other stuff that goes back to, you know, back then where Magneto was fighting off these groups of gangs who, you know, like they were all mutants of, like they were like genetic cleansing as their name was, but you know, all in all, like he just doesn't like that, like, you know how they're mutants but they kill their own kind, so basically Magneto's against that whole thing, and you know, it was a whole big thing about that. You could definitely read it, and they thought that they got Magneto down, but he had a, you know, a very fluid thing up his sleeve to get them out. And he says, you know, you remember murdering them and everything, so actions comes consequences. So, and then in the end, he's just having this whole people that says that they will serve a new master and honor a new cause, and they will die, and they will not be redeemed, and their sacrifice will show what they will remember, what it means to be a mutant. So what this comic is that he's bringing his own kind on his team, even though he knows they will die if they don't probably not follow him as a leader or anything. But yeah, it's a little bit interesting. Not saying, I mean, if you've been reading all along like me, oh yeah, that's right. And if you're reading all along like me, then you'll definitely get it. But I think it's.
I gave him 2 because I have 2 next.
Yeah. Iron Fist Living Weapon issue number 4. A lot of people are saying that they don't like this issue, or the Iron Fist, because of the way his personality is, and I mean that's their opinion. I could understand that, but this is me looking at him for the first time, so that's how I'm probably still reading the comic book, and I know you're laughing because
no, I'm not.
Oh, but
I'm not a fan of the artwork in this book.
Well, basically, he has a talk with Brenda about his father and how he was like close with his family and everything, and you know, it was just a whole big interview that Brenda was having with him, and more actually, and you know, he's teaching her how to use kung fu and all that other stuff with martial arts, and then there's like this demonic thing that you know, it turned out it was a nightmare, and if you want to know what I mean, I'll give you a good picture. Yeah, this is pretty good. It's a little bit disturbing with the whole demonic thing, and just saying that, you know, like his mother comes back like saying, I told you not to look back, and you watch me getting eaten by wolves and stuff like that, and you need to survive and all that other stuff. So Danny just goes nuts and just says that, well, not nuts, he just said he thinks he's going crazy like his father was, and he's like saying, you know, people who have come close to me, you know, they get hurt, and I don't want you to get hurt or anything. Kind of like Spider-Man and Mary Jane comparison. So in Kung Lung, he talked to, what was this person? The one that killed Xiao Lo, who was his master and everything, and he wants to, like, he fights him, and it turns out it was his father, and he said the Thunderer gave you the fists, and now I want them back, and he breaks his fists. And that's to be continued. So, No, I'm just saying, between what he said about his father and everything, and then meeting him in Kunlun, after when he destroyed his master and everything, it's like a father-son battle, and the father seems to get the upper hand, but I really like the issue. I don't know why people wouldn't like it. I think it's really good.
Out of the 2 number 1s I got this week, Rocket Raccoon issue number 1 definitely falls a little short, because this is more of a, if you like the character, you're going to be reading the book. If you don't like the character, you won't be reading the book. Rocket saves this girl about 3 years ago. She's a princess. And at first you're like, okay, it's nice to see Rocket saving a girl and they're making out. What does this have to do with anything? We jump into the present where he's taking a date to a wrestling match. A wrestling match with his friend Groot. Wrestling in the ring. And then, just like in the other book, out of nowhere, Rocket Raccoon is now wanted. However, this time, the wanted sticks. So now he's on the run from the lore for the rest of the issue. He reaches out to Star-Lord. He asks Peter how, to find out why he's wanted. He finds out why he's wanted. He's wanted for multiple murders. And there's an actual picture of him. So there's apparently a doppelganger out there. And Rocket's always been known to be the last of his kind, but apparently he's not. And he actually ends up giving himself up to the law in the end. And he actually tells Peter, get him a good lawyer. And then we find out something even more. So now, not only is there somebody out there that looks exactly like Rocket Raccoon that wants to put him in jail, but the woman he was dating is part of this humongous organization where you see this woman who Rocket was making out with in the beginning of the issue again. And basically, it's a clan of all Rocket Raccoon's exes that want him dead.
Wow.
So,
what did he do?
I don't know. The series kind of is interesting. I'll stick around for the next issue and see where this is going. For the most part, I feel 50-50.
Who wants to hurt a raccoon that knows how to use guns and everything? Who wants to do that?
For me, it's an okay series, but once again, if things start to get really intense, if I get a lot of books again, like where I'm buying tons and tons of books, Rocket Raccoon definitely would be at the bottom of the pile right now, because it's a fun read, it's a relaxing read, but again, it's okay. It's good. Legendary Star-Lord issue number 1 was a little bit better. Peter is at the orphanage he was at when he was a kid. You get a little flashback in the beginning when he's a boy. And you see that he says that at that very moment, 20 years ago, his life on Earth became a nightmare, and then he traveled into space. But he gets taken prisoner by these Badoons who show up at the orphanage at the same time he did, because they want the same thing he has. The energy, the, what was it?
Where is it?
Mandalay. The Mandalay Gem. I'm going to say Mandalay Gem. Because it's an infinite power source or whatever, and he was there to steal it, but Star-Lord tries to explain to the orphanage, to the woman who runs the orphanage, there's more to it than that, but he's taken away prisoner. He gets taken prisoner, he's wanted, they have the Mandalay Crystal now, and him, and he's in jail. And he's wanted by, they talk about some blood bounty hunter called Knife, who's aiming to use the crystal to take over Earth. He's gunning for Earth. That's what Peter Quill finds out. He's in jail, and wow, this is a wonderful way to introduce Kitty Pryde, but he calls Kitty who he asks Kitty if there's any invasions because he thinks that this guy Knife is already invading Earth. He's not. And then it becomes this whole, are you in bed? What are you doing? She's like grading papers. He's like, you're boring. And then he gets interrupted by the big Badoon guy. And then he ends up escaping with the crystal. And he ends up going back to the orphanarium where he actually gives them a whole bunch of money. Which he says he sold the crystal, but he didn't. That was basically all of his savings money. And he still has the crystal because he's going to use it to take out Thanos, apparently. And then he gets stopped by this woman who is the commander, the captain of the Spartax Royal Guard and daughter of the former Emperor Jason. So obviously this takes place after the events that just happened in Guardians of the Galaxy because he's the former Emperor of Spartax. So it turns out Peter might actually have a stepsister.
Wow.
Two interesting endings. I'll come back to Star-Lord. By the way, this is the Young Guns variant. This is by Dave Marquez. This is the Scotty Young baby variant, they claim. For Rocket Raccoon, I got the variants because Star-Lord had a bunch of covers. I say only buy the covers that are comic price equal. Don't go anywhere past $3.99 for this book.
This was almost Book of the Week, The Punisher, issue number 8. Where the Punisher has a sidekick going up against Crossbone and I believe his name was Diaz or Ortiz, I can't remember, but...
Diaz, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was Diaz. So, basically, you know, we find out who the guy was from the last issue, and he says his name, actually. Here's some artwork, by the way, which is drawn really nicely. And, so yeah, so they're fighting off against Crossbones while they're trying to, oh, his name is Tom, basically. So, as they're working together, he's trying to help his friend out, Greg. And we get a little bit of a backstory of Tom, of how, you know, he got to this point. If you want to know, read the comic book. So, yeah, him and Tom, like, they are, like, so much alike because Tom was a Marine Force like Frank Castle was. And then he comes up with an idea to put a mine there, which gets Crossbones and the rest of the gang pretty good. And as Crossbones was about to destroy Frank, Diaz comes in and then he gets sliced in half, literally. And there was just a whole thing of where Tom did a sacrifice for, you know, like he like basically Frank sacrificed himself to Tom so Tom will live, you know, for many reasons. So, you know, now with that, I like this page right here where when he's in the Marines, he has like that skull to remember Frank by as Punisher 33. So I thought that was pretty good that at least there was somebody that admires the Punisher, because we had that whole Johnny Nightmare thing who wanted to destroy the Punisher. At least there was somebody in a Punisher comic book that didn't destroy him, that admired him. Mm-hmm. And that's what, you know, really brought out the book. But it was really, really good. Definitely check that out if you're reading Punisher.
Miles Morales, The Ultimate Spider-Man, issue number 3. Norman Osborn is out there somewhere. Miles tells his girlfriend that he's Spider-Man, but he does it badly. So Kate runs away, and Miles wants to chase after him. However, Maria Hill shows up, or was it Maria Hill? I want to make sure now. Hold on. Yeah, Maria Hill shows up, and she wants Miles to go with her because, well, she doesn't tell him why yet, but at first they don't know why, so Genki tells him run. Genki says run, and he runs. Before that, there's a bit of a thing with J. Jonah Jameson. They're trying to pin everything on Spider-Man, and J. Jonah Jameson says we're not going to post trash anymore. We're only gonna, you know, post the good stuff, and then that's when they find out that Norman Osborn was free. So J. Jonah Jameson prints that article instead. They want to basically, they want J. Jonah Jameson to do what he always does, which is to make Spider-Man look like a menace, but he won't do it because of what happened during, not the last event, the event before that, Ultimatum, where Spider-Man was saving everybody, and he ended up saving J. Jonah Jameson. So going back into the future of the book, Gank finds out that Norman Osborn's free. He gets like an app from the Daily Bugle on his phone. Miles finds out, and he runs to Aunt May's house because he's afraid that he's going to attack Aunt May. Aunt May apparently isn't there, but the Green Goblin is. And it ends with Miles coming face to face with Norman Osborn.
Just like the cover.
And I left out the middle of the book because there's really nothing really too important. Director Chang got her face burnt. I don't know if killed, but she got her face burnt by Norman Osborn, and this was a crazy issue. And Peter Parker, clone or not, is nowhere to be found. So it's going to be interesting to see if he actually comes back at some point.
That would be interesting.
Really good book. Highly recommend you guys check out Miles Morales, The Ultimate Spider-Man.
And book of the week from this company. All New X Factor issue number 10. We have reached the double digits of All New X Factor, and it is going really, really strong. In this issue, we get introduced to a new villain who is called Memento Mori, which is Latin for "Remember that you will die." So, in last issue, Georgia gets captured by Memento, and he tells her the story about, in the past, what happened when she was born and what her mother did and everything, and, basically, he wants her to serve him and stuff like that, and she doesn't want to, so she just runs away and, uses her powers and everything. I'll give you artwork right here, which is really excellent. Gives you really that X Factor feel of what you read before. So Gambit has a talk with Harry about what he did with his wife and everything, but couldn't be able to because they had a mission that they did. So they used the transporter to help out to get Georgia back. After that whole reunion with her mother from the last issue, and they do everything in their power, but Linda actually tells Harrison that she found Gambit in bed with his wife, and then he was like saying, "Alright, you have my attention," because he was so busy and everything. So they get Georgia, and they use the portal to get back, but guess what? Gambit, wasting time saying, well, see you next time, Memento, he gets caught there, and he doesn't go back with the X Factor team. So Memento Mori, I guess, has Gambit as a whole kidnapping thing. Probably to make the story drag because of what he did with Harrison Snow's wife and all that.
Oh, definitely.
Because since he found out, so... Oh, man. Book of the week. This is getting really intense right here. I mean, I'm loving it. Genius work right there.
Finally this week we have Original Sin issue number 5. It's padding, but it's good padding. We find out a huge backstory on Nick Fury, that he was never only Nick Fury on Earth, but he also was working since he met Howard Stark back in the day. He's been trying to prevent alien invasions since before the Avengers, since before anything. And he was actually hired to kill Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. And he chose not to, because he said that he had a feeling that Spider-Man was going to be something special. So he let it go. So we find out that he is the unseen. He's the one that been killing a lot of aliens and been preventing the Earth from being taken over or destroyed by aliens for so long, until he got old, and then basically the LMDs took over. Something happens to Loeb when he's still not telling you the whole truth. He's still not telling you about and of course Loeb, he goes down. The orb goes down. So we don't know what the heck I said Loeb. The orb goes down. We have no idea what he was talking about. And then when Black Panther asked Nick Fury what happened to the Watcher, all he says is he died, and now it's his turn. So apparently he's insinuating that it's Nick Fury's turn. It's his turn to die. Other than that, that's all we get for this issue. No progression.
It's more like a Nick Fury backstory in this issue.
Yeah, so no progression really of the story. However, in the next issue,
we find out
who killed the Watcher.
I'm looking forward to that. I've been waiting.
And then after that, the next 2 issues is capturing that person or why and where.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. They just better not mislead us saying that, oh, we know who did it. Oh, you're going to have to find on the next issue.
No, they're not. They're going to announce it, but it'll probably be on the very last page.
I've got to know.
I know. I already pre-ordered issue number 6, so I can't wait myself.
I got to look at the news and find out. Oh, man.
But honestly, all this was it told you what Nick Fury's been up to and what he did behind the scenes, his little original sin, with leaving, of course, something important out. And obviously the Watcher's the only one that's seen the unseen. So, all in all, really good issue. I'd say 4 out of 5 stars still. Can't wait for the next issue of Original Sin. Continuing the connecting variant. So far so good. We only need 2 more after issue number 6. So hopefully we'll get all of them and have a nice little connected diorama at the end. And with that, that's it for Marvel, guys. I'm surprised we got through it fast. That's probably because 2 of the books really were very disappointing this week. Well, 1 wasn't disappointing, I gotta admit. 1 was Daredevil, which we sped through because it was an old story, and then 100th anniversary Fantastic Four and
I sped through some of the other comics because I want them to.
But anyway, guys, it's because this is late. We wanted to get this out. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us. Don't forget to check out comic-related, Comic Frontline, and Zone4Podcast.com. Together, we're your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. Comments, likes, dislikes, agree, disagree, recommendations, your opinions on any of the books we talked about here, feel free to leave below, and we will talk about them on this Friday's weekly comic book haul.
Yep.
So, until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys in the next review. Take care, everybody.
Later, guys.